It has been said that every turn of the archaeologist's spade adds veracity to the historicity of the Bible. Well, is that true? Today we're going to be looking and seeing if the Bible really can be proved by archaeology. And today I want to take you into the Old Testament and the story of Joseph. The Bible tells us that after being betrayed by his brothers and sold into Egypt as a slave, Joseph later was arrested and imprisoned on a false charge of attempted rape. While there, two of Pharaoh's servants were also put in prison, and they both had dreams. Joseph was able to interpret their dreams by the power of God, and each of those dreams came true. One servant was hanged, the other servant was restored to serving the Pharaoh. Now later, the Pharaoh had a disturbing dream, and he was told by this restored servant that there was a man in prison who could interpret dreams. Should I go and get him? And so Joseph was brought out of prison and brought before the Pharaoh. And the Pharaoh explained his dreams, and Joseph interpreted them. Joseph told the Pharaoh, "The dream you had is this. You are going to have 7 years of plenty in Egypt, but also it's going to be followed by 7 years of severe famine. What you need is to find somebody who can oversee what is coming." So Joseph was the obvious candidate. So Pharaoh chose Joseph to oversee the coming years of plenty, where they could gather in as much food and seed, etc. as they could to see them through this coming 7 years of famine. Much of the reason for Israel's famines were caused by the excess flooding of the River Nile. The Nile would flood, and that would prevent the farmers from sowing and reaping their crops. Hence, you had a big famine. Now this famine spread into Canaan, where Joseph came from. As a result, his family also in Canaan were suffering from the famine. Pharaoh was so pleased with Joseph's plans and the achievements he made that he called Joseph and told him to bring his family into Egypt. Now the story is much bigger. I know you realize that. It's all about Joseph meeting his brothers and revealing himself to them. But basically the end of it was Joseph brought his whole family from Canaan into Egypt, where they could be fed thanks to Joseph's amazing planning. Today, archaeologists have discovered the area Joseph brought his family into was known as Goshen, later called Avaris. And it was there Joseph's family settled. Now you'll notice that Joseph has a particular hairstyle that is known as the mushroom style that was worn by many in Canaan during that period. But who was the Pharaoh of the famine? Now, when you see statues of pharaohs in Egypt, they are portrayed as mighty men of valor. But this one pharaoh you see here is shown with a sad face. His lips are drawn down, and notice his waist is drawn in as if he is very hungry. This is Amenemhat III, and it's believed that under this pharaoh there was a huge famine in Egypt, quite unprecedented. But there had a vizier there whose name you'll find is very interesting. His name, which I cannot pronounce, actually means the God who sees and lives. Another version of that name is the one who answers dreams. So who do you think that is? Well, many of us think this was Joseph, and there are other reasons to believe this was Joseph, according not just to the Bible, folks, but through archaeology, and we're going to look at that now. So, we find that within the reign of Amenemhat III, a vizier arose who was not Egyptian, but came from Canaan. And this vizier in Amenemhat III's reign performed some amazing engineering works in preparation for a huge famine that took place during the king's reign. Now, among the great engineering works the vizier performed during the reign of Amenemhat III, one was to build great store cities for grain and seeds during the time of famine, and they were huge, so that people who were starving during the time of famine could come to the store cities and buy grain. And of course, when you read the Bible, that is exactly what Joseph's brothers did. And another amazing engineering work, which is still visible today, by the way, that engineering work was to siphon off the floodwaters of the Nile into a huge lake. And that lake, or rather the waterway that feeds into the lake from the Nile, still bears the same name today. It is called Bar Yosef, meaning the waterway of Joseph. And remember, Joseph or Yosef is actually a Hebrew name. What on earth is a Hebrew name doing in the middle of Egypt, in an ancient waterway that siphoned off the floodwaters from the Nile to prevent any future major flooding and perhaps prevent any major famines in the future? But what really stunned the archaeologists was the fact that when they excavated in Goshen or Avaris, they discovered a huge settlement of Canaanite people, not Egyptian. Well, who do you think settled in Avaris or Goshen? Joseph's family. And this is what they found as they excavated. Now remember, Joseph and his brothers and his whole family lived here in Goshen. And when the archaeologists excavated, they found a Canaanite-style palace, and outside of the palace, 12 tombs. 12 Canaanite-style tombs. Well, not 12 exactly, but 11 Canaanite-style tombs, and one in the shape of a pyramid. Let me tell you what they discovered when they excavated the pyramid-style tomb. Now, of course, many Egyptian tombs have been broken into, ransacked, and things stolen from inside the tomb, but the bodies were always left. Now, if you remember, in Genesis, Joseph told his brothers and the family that when he died and when they returned, when God took them back into Canaan in later years, he was to have his bones taken back into Canaan with them. Would it surprise you that when they entered this tomb, or when they excavated the tomb, lots of things had been taken, but the tomb was empty, minus a body. But something else they found which would lead us to believe it was Joseph. So the body had been taken, but what they did find was a statue of an Asiatic man, and somebody had taken to this statue and damaged it as badly as they possibly could. This is an AI representation of that statue. You can see the mushroom-style hairstyle of the person who was there, or the person who was buried originally in the tomb. You can see just over his right shoulder on the left-hand side of your picture, that is a throw stick. It's a stick of authority that he would have worn or carried with him. The hair is red, which we are told is pretty typical of Asiatics in that time period. Now if you look over on the right, you'll see that his cloak that he was wearing over his shoulders is one of many colours, and in Canaanite law, this is the coat you would give to someone who would be the head of the family. And of course we all remember Joseph and his amazing technicoloured dream coat. That's why he wore a coat of many colours, and that's why his brothers were so angry with him and jealous of him, because his father Jacob had actually designated him as the future head of the family. According to archaeologist David Roll and his amazing book, A Test of Time and Exodus, both books you really should get. I'll leave a link below the video, and also the Test of Time video you should get, which is absolutely amazing. This is his image. I've reconstructed it through AI. This is roughly what the statue of Joseph, the vizier of Egypt, would have looked like in the tomb. It would have been more than 2 meters high. So please, friends, don't let anybody ever tell you the Bible is full of myths. It isn't. It's a true story, cover to cover, and to study the Bible should be your greatest thrill. Believe me, reading the Bible and looking at archaeological finds, it just blows your mind. Don't forget to read your Bible and check it out with history and with archaeology, because every turn of the archaeologist's spade adds veracity to the Bible. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to bring some more information from the Bible to show you how true it is, how trustworthy it is in the future. Take care. Bye-bye.